Hello and good day. Welcome to our video channel, God's Promises. And today's video will be Psalm chapter 22. Let's get started now. Psalm 22 is a famous and significant psalm in the Bible, written by King David. It is a prophetic psalm that describes the suffering of Jesus Christ, hundreds of years before his birth. This psalm is often quoted in the New Testament and has become a source of comfort and inspiration for many believers. The psalm begins with a cry of anguish from David. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? Verse 1. These words were echoed by Jesus on the cross, as he also cried out to God in his moment of greatest suffering. David goes on to describe the intensity of his agony, using vivid and graphic language to depict his physical and emotional pain. He speaks of being mocked, ridiculed, and rejected by his enemies. He feels alone and abandoned, with no one to turn to for help or comfort. Yet even in the midst of his despair, David remains confident in God's faithfulness and mercy. He declares his trust in God, saying, But you, Lord, do not be far from me. You are my strength. Come quickly to help me. Verse 19. He praises God's goodness and power, acknowledging that all things ultimately belong to him. As the psalm continues, it shifts from David's personal suffering to a prophetic vision of the crucifixion of Jesus. The psalmist describes the soldiers casting lots for Jesus' clothing, just as the Roman soldiers did at the foot of the cross. He speaks of the shame and humiliation that Jesus endured, and the physical agony of his crucifixion. Yet even in this darkest moment, the psalm ends with a note of hope and triumph. David celebrates the victory of God over his enemies, declaring that all nations will come to know and worship him. He looks forward to a time of renewal and restoration, when the Lord will reign over all the earth. The teaching application of Psalm 22 is manifold. First and foremost, it reminds us that God is faithful even in the midst of our greatest suffering. Like David and Jesus, we may feel alone and abandoned in our times of trial, but we can trust that God is with us and will never forsake us. This psalm also reminds us of the incredible sacrifice that Jesus made on our behalf. It is a prophetic foreshadowing of the cross, a reminder of the pain and suffering that Jesus endured for our sake. It calls us to remember the great love that God has for us, and to respond with gratitude and worship. Finally, Psalm 22 challenges us to live our lives in light of God's ultimate victory over evil and injustice. We are called to work for justice and peace in our world, knowing that ultimately the Lord will reign over all the earth. We can take comfort in the knowledge that God is in control, and that one day all things will be made new. Thank you for visiting us today. Please share with us your favorite Bible verse below in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help our channel grow. Looking forward to see you back here for our next video. Always take good care.